Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. Do USA forecast for today's second video. So we're going to have a look at the ECMWF extended model for the next 6 weeks and see how the anomaly charts and forecast predictions are looking for the United States over the next 6 weeks. Gets us into May. I'll get on back to you later. We will also have a look at some shorter range models from the GFS and ECMWF as well. And I have a little explanation about what's been going on with all of these tornadoes over the past couple of weeks, why there's been so much tornadic activity. Hang around, and that's coming up a little bit later on in the video. Please like, share, subscribe on the video. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. I do hope you're having a lovely Wednesday as well. Right, let's start off then with the EC extended. So we're going to begin with the 500 millibar height anomaly for week 1. This is the current week map we're in, the 3rd to the 10th of April, where we see an area of above average height sitting over and to the eastern side of America with a trough of low for the central and northern states and western states where the low pressure and the trough has been throughout all of winter and into spring. So projecting doing something like that means that these northern states are quite cold and northwest states are cold. Meanwhile, the southern and eastern states are going to be warm, bringing up wind from a southerly direction. And the temperature anomaly shows this up very nicely. We've got above average temperatures here over on the eastern side of America, from the Midwest to the eastern seaboard in the weekend. Actually very warm in some places. Meanwhile, further west and northwest, though, it is an awful lot cooler, as it has been so often through the last few months. It remains cold from the still cold now, from the Pacific coast right way through to the Rockies and into the west of the Midwest, the southern, southwestern states also with below average temperatures as well. And precipitation wise, we look like this, varying from state to state. So quite wet in the far northwest, drier in the southwest and through these southern states, but in the far southeast it's actually wetter. This would be the zone, but we'd have to be watching for tornadic activity, I think, in this wet swathe just here. And then down to the extreme southeast, it's drier towards Florida. Up north, we find that the northeastern part of America, the seaboard, generally quite dry, and then these midwestern and northern states, or northern midwestern states, are looking a little bit wetter once again. Okay, let's go through the week 2, which is going to be the 10th to the 17th of April. See how that one's looking. So by that point, we start to send the trough of low down towards Florida, a little bit unusually at this time. Excuse me, a little bit unusually at this time of year, and a ridge of above average heights. High pressure then starts building across most parts of America, actually. Temperature anomalies look like that. So warming up in many areas. That warmth from the east looks like it's backing towards the west, actually, which is a little bit unusual for this winter. Now, we find that things are definitely warming up here through the central states, through the Rockies, and then again back towards the western side of America. Looks like things are getting hotter down to the southwest as well, and up into the north too. They're generally looking warmer than average across most parts of the states, actually, as we go into week 2. This southeastern corner could still be a little bit cooler and closer to average. The precipitation anomaly is becoming dry in many areas as well, as that area of high pressure takes over. So basically it's dry in all places other than the extreme south down towards the Mexican border with Texas, perhaps, and possibly around Florida as well, and maybe in the extreme northwest, but otherwise most parts of America are looking dry in the week 2 period. Week 3 will be the 17th to the 24th of April. High pressure going back eastwards again then, so the high pressure is drifting towards the central and eastern part of America. Could low pressure be starting to come back in there? Let's put in a question mark, see what the temperature anomaly is doing. So possibly, actually, that trough is coming back in off the Pacific again, because, yeah, we see that the temperature anomaly is going cooler once more from the Pacific coast back towards Rockies, as the warmth is being shunted over towards the Midwest and into the eastern part of America again. And the precipitation anomaly, much weaker signal for week 3. Looks a little bit drier towards the east and maybe in the west, and then perhaps a wetter sway through there, but it is quite a weak signal. Week 4 will be the 24th of April to the 1st of May. Ever weakening signal, but there's some sort of ridge here through the northern, midwestern part of America. Temperature anomaly is still looking rather cooler than average towards the west, aren't they always? And warmer through the central parts of America, and then over into the east nearer normal through there, but possibly that warmth will back right away from the Rockies all the way to the east coast. It has often done over the past few months. And precipitation-wise, again, very weak signal, just looks a little bit on the dry side through those central parts of America. The further out we go, of course, the more unreliable everything starts to get. Week 5 will be the 1st to the 8th of May. So some sort of ridge in the central part of America, very weak signal though. Temperature anomalies, again, showing that the warmest temperature is in the central states, perhaps cooler over towards the west again. And the precipitation anomaly just looks a little bit drier in the east and the south. Again, is a very weak signal though. And then finally, week 6 will be the 8th to the 15th of May. And by then, nothing doing at all, so I'll put in a question mark. And we'll have a look, I think, at the temperature anomaly, which again is very, very weak. Still possibly hints at being a little bit cooler towards the west, a little bit warmer elsewhere, but I'll put in a question mark again because it is a very weak signal. I bet precipitation is weak as well. Yes, it is. So, again, just put in a question mark. There. I don't think I've got all that much idea, to be honest, once we get beyond week 3. Right, let's quickly go through the chart data then from the GFS and the ECM before we go have a look at a little bit of shorter range. So, this current situation, and actually I just wanted to show this because it does explain quite nicely, you know, what's been going on with the tornadic activity action centre that we've got today. So currently we've got this ridge across the eastern part of America and out into the Atlantic with an area of low pressure here up in the northern part of America. So this ridge is pulling up a warm southerly from the Gulf of Mexico into the southeast, the eastern parts of states, whilst this area of low pressure brings down cold air from Canada into the north and the northwest. So black line of the jet stream, you can see the dip in the jet here. And then how it rises northward. So up there we've got the warmth, down here within the dip jet stream, that's where we've got the cold air. The upper air temperatures show this up very nicely. So look at that temperature contrast that we've got. Really warm across those eastern parts of America. We're actually pushing up to plus 15 Celsius iceberg out of the Gulf of Mexico. Got 20 Celsius iceberg down here into southern parts of Texas. That's really hot air, and that's surging. That warmth is surging up the eastern side. At the same time, though, on the northern west side of below, we've got this cold air out of Canada with minus 10 Celsius iceberg pushing through. And obviously that is a very, very big temperature contrast, and it is that fuels that contrast that you get this time of year, which isn't that unusual. It's quite typical for the kind of temperature contrast that you get at this time of the year across America, which, remember, is a continental climate, but you see within a battleground at this time of year between the very cold air that's sitting still over Canada and this hot air that is gathering through the Gulf of Mexico down into Mexico itself and is trying to push northwards. And so you've got this big temperature contrast here and here and there, and so yeah, that's the reason, you know, as the cold air and that hot air clashes with one another, you get instability that creates massive thunderstorms, and of course the rotation of the earth can cause rotation of those thunderstorms as well, and that rotation then can develop into tornadic activity, especially with the plains of America, you know, the Great Plains, where these storms can take rotation and create those tornadoes. So it's a combination really of the layout of America. Is it topography, something like that? But the layout of America with those vast plains through the Midwest and down into the South. And also, of course, the temperature contrast. It's mainly the temperature contrast that causes this at this time of the year. Anyway, let's quickly run through. So I hope that explains it. Let's quickly run through and see what's happening on the GFS. So this area of low pressure that we see here pushes eastwards and moves off up to Canada. So where does the cold air go by 2 days out? So the cold air sort of retreats north. It never really makes it into the south and the southeast. The cold air sort of retreats away back up to Canada. But it does cool things down through many of these northern and eastern parts of America and sends the warmth back down into the far south and southeast towards the Gulf Coast and down towards Florida and that. Beyond that, what happens? So we get a ridge building over in the east, which is a cooler ridge of high pressure. Meanwhile, out to the northwest, we've still got quite cool air digging in from the Pacific into this northwestern part of America there. Now, beyond that, we find that we should find, if the ECM is right, that high pressure just sort of builds across many parts of America. So what happens is that another area of low pressure, actually here in the central part of the states, just there, is starting to create a contrast in temperatures again. This is Friday, 14th of April, when we see that, again, to the east side of this low, got some quite warm air pushing up out of the Gulf and into northern east parts of America. Meanwhile, out west, it looks a lot cooler around the northern western side of that low. So again, you'll probably be thinking there might be a little bit of tornadic activity with that particular area of low pressure as well. And then beyond that, high pressure building across many parts of the states as we get towards the middle part of April there. We've got a ridge building through most of America, although out in the west it remains unsettled as always, with more low pressure through there. That's how I finish up. So another low pushing through from the northern west parts of the states. Highest pressure always looks like it's in more southern and eastern areas, but bear in mind in most southern states that's where you've got the greatest temperature contrast, so the ridge has got to be very strong at this time of year to kill off those storms. Let's have a look at the ECM before we go. So again, that's the setup today. Low pressure through the Midwest. We've got some very warm air surging northwards on the eastern side of that low, colder air on the northern and western side of the low. What happens after that? Let's say the hover, what happens after that. So we find that we get quite a big ridge building across many parts of the states through the coming weekend, through Easter. So there should be a lot of dry weather across America over the Easter period. And then we go into next week, and we get this ridge continuing to be sitting over the eastern part of America, and it looks like it remains more unsettled out to the north and to the northwest as well. That's how the upper air temperatures look right now. So again, just confirming that we've got that warmth coming up from the Gulf up the east side of America and into Midwest, colder though out to the north and the west of that. Daytime, that's how the upper air temperatures look. Just generally quite warm actually across most parts of America, and turning hot through these southern plain states and around Texas and Oklahoma, those sort of areas. Looks like we've got some pretty hot air there, but of course it is cooler up to the north and west, and so further clashing could take place. Right, I hope that's been okay for this week's extended USA forecast. So hope that explains what's been going on, what is going to continue take place probably in America over the next few weeks as this crash of the air masses takes place. And of course, eventually the cold air is just going to fade away. Even in Canada, we'll find things eventually getting much warmer in the next few weeks, and we will lose that temperature contrast, lose that fighting that's currently going on. And so there will still be big thunderstorms, but as we get further on into the summer, the risk of tornadic activity will reduce, although not completely go away. Even those big thunderstorms that you get into the summer can sometimes get rotation and cause tornadic activity. But this is always the peak time for tornadoes as we have that clash and contrast of air masses. Right, okay, I'll be back shortly with a 10-14-dayer for the UK and for Ireland. If you have enjoyed this USA forecast, found it interesting and informative, please think you like, share, subscribe to the channel, especially drop a comment if you are watching from the States and you found this interesting, and please keep checking back. We do USA forecasts every Wednesday here on the channel, so let me know if you want to see more. And for this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.